Hi guys, here is the video that I said I was going to do about sex and just general stuff about sex that I wish somebody had said when I was a little bit younger. I don't really know if this is going to help anyone, but I did put a picture on Instagram and say if anyone has any questions about sex, just ask me and I will answer them in a video. I was very thin off the ground of questions, and I don't know if people just generally know everything there is to know about sex, in which case this is a completely waste of time video, or whether you just thought, let's just see what she has to say and let's just see how she embarrasses herself when she talks about this topic and just see what shit she talks about. I just wanted to make a video, and I'm doing this on the basis that most of my viewers are probably like teenagers, and you might generally have random questions that you don't want to ask somebody else. You don't want to ask like your mum, you don't want to ask some of your friends because you might be embarrassed because you think that people know the answer. But the main thing, like the main message I wanted to give when I made this video is I personally think sex is a really big deal. You should not just go and have sex with somebody just randomly and not think about it. It is a really big deal, and I am 30 years old, and I know I say this in every video because people are like, oh, you're like 12, what do you know? And I still think that sex is a really big deal. And I think that if you are at that stage where you are dating somebody and you feel like under pressure and stuff like that, please do not feel under pressure to have sex. Honestly, it's a big deal. You take your time and you do it when you're ready to do it. I'm definitely not making this video to like encourage anyone to go out and start having sex. I'm actually saying the complete opposite. I'm saying make sure that you are absolutely 100% sure before you do it, and do not do it because all your friends are doing it, because that just makes you a bit of a slag. And don't do it because you feel like the person that you're dating is pressurizing you into doing it. Like, those are the two worst reasons you can think of to do that, because you are just gonna completely regret it later. Like I said, I'm saying it now, sex is a fucking big deal. Like, honestly, it's a big deal. Don't go out and just randomly sleep around because, you know, people talk and you're just going to be classified as a slag, and it's just not going to be that fun. So this is my advice for mainly like teenagers, because I know that that is the main age range. These kind of things, in my opinion, should happen completely like naturally. And yes, if it is like the first time and you're like a little bit nervous, then yes, maybe you should like plan ahead of time. It should definitely not be when you're drunk. It should definitely not be under the influence of any kind of drugs or anything like that. And you should be 100% sure about what you're about to do, because once you've done it for the first time, you cannot take it back. You can't undo it. You can't like, and that is why I think it's really important that people just think about what they do. It doesn't matter if all your friends are like shagging about, that's just disgusting. And it doesn't matter if your friends think you're weird because you haven't done it. At the end of the day, they're probably going to regret it the most. If you've got like a long-term boyfriend and you've been with them for years, and yes, you are over the age of like 16, then I completely think it's like okay, but I'm still not going to encourage it, because realistically, if you're with somebody and you're 16, the chances are when you're like 20, you're probably not still going to be with that person. And if you are thinking about it as a long-term thing and you want to take it so quite seriously in the fact that you only want to sleep with like one person, whatever, then I just think at the age of 16, you're still, in my eyes, you're still kind of a child, and you just really should think about like what you're doing beforehand. So I said I was quite thin off the ground of like questions, but I did get a couple of them which I'm going to answer, but not all of them are completely relevant to like this video anyway, but I'm going to answer them anyway. Do my parents know about it? When they said, like, when the person asked this question, I didn't really know if they meant like, do they know about me and my exes, or do they know that I'm going to make this video? My mum knows I'm going to make this video because I did tell her. She actually just said nothing. She didn't open her mouth. She didn't even look at me. But now I feel better because I've told her that I'm going to do it, and I've told her that, you know, what I'm going to talk about and stuff. And then when she realised that I wasn't encouraging sex, she was like, okay, that's fine, like if you think it's going to help somebody. And with regards to like me and like talking to my mum about it, this was like another question. Being Asian, how do you bring it up into conversation? I didn't. There was no way I was going to bring that up in conversation with my Indian mum. It was just not something that I was ever going to talk about with my mum. So what ended up happening is when I went to university, I was dating somebody me before I went to university, and I happened to mention to my mum that I was going to go and stay with him because he was at a different university. And from that conversation, she kind of thought, okay, there's going to be 2 of you in a room, there's going to be like a single bed, and you're obviously going to share the bed with him because he's at university. So from that conversation, she just said to me, have you had sex? And I was like, yeah. And then she said, oh, you know, was it okay, or was, you know, how was it? And I said, well, actually it hurt a bit. And then that was like the end of the conversation. And then my mum was like, okay, well, just make sure that if you're going down that route that you take precautions. So either start taking the pill or make sure you use protection. And that was basically the conversation I had with my mum. So I think when I went to university, she kind of thought, well, inevitably it was probably going to happen. But at the time I was in quite a long-term relationship. I was with this person for like 2.5 years, like in total. So, and I don't regret it at all. I still can't believe I'm talking about my personal experience, but I don't regret it at all because I was happy at the time, and you know, it was fine. Bringing up an Asian conversation, I know like you just don't really talk about that kind of stuff, and I don't think you need to talk about that kind of stuff. I think if you just do, if you really want your parents to know that you're, I mean, I don't know why you'd want your parents to know, I just don't know why. That is how I brought it up into conversation with my parents. What age is appropriate to have sex? In the UK, the legal age limit is like 16, so you have to be over 16 to have sex, and below that it is known as like paedophilia, and you just don't want to be in that category. I don't understand the processes behind having sex under the age of 16, because I think at that age you really don't know what you're doing. You really don't really have those sort of feelings. But I know that lots of people are younger and they've had sex, and the thing is they might regret it when they're that young as well. Like, I just don't want any of you to like regret it, because like I said, I can't emphasize enough, it is a really big deal to have sex. It's not just something you should just go out and do. And you know, like I said, it kind of is emotionally, like, it changes how you feel, and obviously physically it's different. So I know this is a really short video. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm sure when I put this video up I'm going to get loads of questions, in which case I can do like a second part to it. But I just want to say, like, the biggest things to learn from this is do not feel pressurized into doing this, because that is the worst way, because you're just going to get really nervous and it's going to be a really horrible experience, and you want it to happen naturally. Like, it shouldn't be something that you discuss when you just start dating somebody. It should be something that happens as you gradually get physically closer to them and like emotionally closer, and there has to be feelings involved. Like, you can't do stuff with people if you're like a teenager and there's no feelings involved and you're just doing it because you want to be part of the group that everybody else is in. That is not cool. Like, I don't think that's very cool. So I'm definitely not encouraging this, but I'm just saying, if you do, I'm so sorry about that, if you do, think about it, plan it, make sure you like really do love that person, make sure that you're stable in your relationship, and make sure that you are just 100% sure about what you do beforehand. And yes, and that is basically all I wanted to say. But if you have any questions that you really don't know about and you've got no one else to ask, and I'm happy to answer these questions. Obviously, if they're really inappropriate, I will delete them and I will like ignore them and I won't answer them. And I'll see you guys in the next video.